All right, Mr. Atherton, so you and members of your technical team are engaged in, I'm guessing, what feels like the process that's always a process, and that's planning for the future. Keep hearing positive things about future prototype regulations, for example. Some fans have probably read every word written on a variety of websites, but for those who haven't, you share with us the general mindset. Is it trying to come up with one formula, kind of a DPI style, LMP1 style that works everywhere? Is it multiple classes of prototype? What are you guys talking about?
We're talking about a lot of things, but to retrace some of your steps there, the dialogue has occurred at multiple layers within the two organizations, the IMSA organization and the ACO, Automobile Club of the West, which is the controlling entity of Le Mans, the arbiters of their rules, etc., along with the FIA. So you've got the philosophical discussion, which involves the president of the ACO, Pierre Fillon, our chairman, Jim France, Gerard Nouveau, the president of the World Endurance Championship, Ed Bennett, myself. That's philosophical. It's not technical. There's some decision makers on that list for sure. But we talk about the opportunity that both parties, all involved, ideally want a single technical description for our top prototype category, such that the cars competing for the overall win at Le Mans, at Spa, at Daytona, at Sebring, at Mid-Ohio are one and the same. So it's interchangeable. A manufacturer can build a car, as is the case today in their GTLM, their GTE category, and run simultaneously. Philosophically, it's a lot easier said than done. So there's another layer involved, which is the true technical experts, the engineering staffs of each party, who then goes much deeper into the discussion about what we believe to be the right approach and what the ACO FIA believes to be the right approach. They're coming from a current status quo of LMP1. Very sophisticated hybrid technology, bespoke chassis, manufacturers building their own, developing almost a Cold War environment between what was Toyota, Audi, Porsche, etc. We're coming from a status quo of a combination of our Daytona Prototype International DPI and LMP2. Very sexy, very sophisticated prototypes, but doesn't involve the hybrid technology. Manufacturers are not designing and building their own chassis. They're working with the 4 approved race car constructors. All of that dictating a much more palatable budget, a much more, in our opinion at least, sustainable. So you've got some two extremes to start with, but you've got this common goal that brings us together in the middle. The challenge is, what do you give up from the ACO FIA descriptor versus what do we add to what is our DPI LMP2 positioning? And there's where the devil's in the details, and that's where we are now. And there's some core elements that we, IMSA, are very defensive of in terms of what we believe to be a sustainable annual budget for a 2-car team competing across a full season. We are in agreement on many points, but there are some elements, frankly, that separate us right now. But that's not unusual, it's not uncommon, and the best update I can provide is that all of those examples of both the senior-most philosophical approach right down to the granular technical details is a lively, open dialogue. Now, we're all busy fulfilling our here and now requirements. This weekend being a perfect example where we are head down, solely focused on the WeatherTech Championship and the Continental Tire Challenge here at Mid-Ohio. The WEC and the FIA are in a similar role with their season opener in Spa. So candidly, there isn't a lot of dialogue outside of what needs to be done this weekend. But there's a Monday and a Tuesday that suddenly, okay, where were we? Let's get back into this. We know that there's a ticking clock right now in terms of what has been, I don't think it's formally announced, but it's been indicated that some direction would come on or around the Le Mans time this year, so the middle of June. That's got all of our attention just because of how close we are in proximity to that time frame. I don't want to predict right now. I think it would be inappropriate at best and perhaps misleading to even suggest where I think things are going to shake out. There has been recent communication, at the very highest level of our two organizations that, here's where we are today, kind of here's where we believe things are as we speak now, and here's where we think we need to be. But I haven't seen any updates since then. So, work in progress, very detailed, delicate process that we're in.
Last question on this, Scott. So we've heard strong suggestions of the year when this might become the new formula. We know that in some other series, they'll say we're going to do this in year X, and it might slide a little bit. Can you tell us if there appears to be a solid year where this might go forward? And also if the timing of that, the distance between today and that year, might have any bearing on, say, interested DPI manufacturers who've said, hey, I like what you're doing, but if you're building something new in 2 years, maybe 2019 isn't right for us, maybe we should wait. Curious if those two are interlinked at all.
Yes, I think we've been very proactive in providing direction to our teams, both existing and those examples you referenced, the people that may be interested in coming into the DPI category. We've said that today's cars, as they are homologated, will be eligible and will be our car of record through our 2021 season. The ACO and the FIA, I believe, have come out and they've used the term 2020, knowing that their new seasonal format would have their 2021 season beginning in the late fall of 2020. So September, October is when their first race would be for what would be their 2021 season, sure. But technically the calendar would say 2020 at that time. We looked at that and said, it makes more sense for us to stay the course as our cars are configured today through 2021, knowing that our season begins in January, so that 2022 is when we are not projecting, it's when we are planning for the next generation prototype. So what we've got today with both LMP2 and DPI would be status quo through our 2021 season, new product 2022.